Grow 'em Big with Steve Bartylla. Brought to you by Huntworth and these other fine sponsors.
A choice we all really have to make is quite frankly simply between, when it comes to managing, how much of this ground are we going to control and how much are we going to allow the whitetails to have. Quite honestly, you can really divide the overwhelming majority of your property right up in, well, the entire property up into those two categories. Areas that I'm leaving alone for the whitetails that they can go ahead and reside in peaceably, and areas that I'm utilizing for whatever the heck I want. That can be hunting, that can be fishing, that can be just going around on nature walks. But don't make any mistake about it. You really are deciding. These areas are mine, these areas are the deer's. The more you give to the whitetails, generally speaking, I know this seems counterintuitive, but the more you give to the whitetails, generally speaking, the better my hunting is. One of the biggest tricks that I've learned in hunting over all these years, perception is reality. You want to do well on heavily pressured ground? Find those spots where other people aren't hunting. Because in those pockets, they're not and it doesn't have to be 500 acres. I'm talking, heck, there's little 5-acre sanctuaries in public ground that other hunters, for whatever reason, don't go to. Those are the areas that I focus on. I'd much rather have a 10-acre sanctuary. Heck, I'd rather have a 30-acre sanctuary. Get much up above that, though, and now when it comes to that public land hunting, it's actually tougher because the smaller the amount of acres that those deer are crammed into, obviously the higher the odds. Well, the same applies to that small property. If you're trashing the snot out of it, those whitetails, they're not going to feel, they're going to go ahead during daylight and not spend that much time there, assuming you are threatening their safety. Instead, set aside as much ground as you can for the whitetails. But always remember, you absolutely positively need dead zones. Areas that you control. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. Everybody wants to improve every darn inch of their property. Well, how are you going to be able to hunt it? If there are deer on every inch of your property, where are your dead zones for your odors to blow into? How can you get to these stands without exploding every deer in it? How can you get out of those stands and out of the deer woods without exploding every deer? Yeah, it may be 15 minutes after legal hunting lights out, and you may be walking across that plot. Oh, cool, there goes 4 deer. Not cool. Because what you're really doing is you're training those whitetails. Every 3-4 days, 15 minutes after dark, this yard ape is kicking me off this plot and scaring the snot out of me. Perhaps I should come out 20 to 30 minutes after dark when that doesn't happen. You need dead zones. Every time we are disturbing whitetails, we are hurting our future odds of success and certainly our management opportunities. So really, I know this is going to be a little bit of a frustrating show because I'm not nailing specifics on this, but that's up to you. You have to find that balance for your property and for your own pleasure. Yes, if you own a 20-acre property, you're probably going to be so much better off by leaving 18 acres of that for nothing but the deer. Maybe it's 15 acres, so you got 5 acres of dead zone. But at the same time, you bought it so you could spend time with your wife and kids out in the woods. Well, 2 to 3 acres to 5 acres ain't much. We all have to figure out our sweet spots. But please remember, we are making a choice. Are we going to control this ground or the whitetails? Striking that balance is truly a key, and if we want the most successful hunting, we really need both.
Final thoughts, brought to you by Huntworth.
One of the toughest concepts to wrap our minds around is that through our own activities, we are determining How much of our ground do we control and how much do the whitetails control? We need to find that balance. It sure sounds good to go out and improve every square inch of that ground, but now where the heck are you going to hunt and how are you going to get there and how are you going to do it safely and how are you going to get? You aren't, because you have no clue where the deer are. When you have dead zones that you can use for access, for your odors to blow into, for departure, now we have safe areas we can go ahead and access, and the whitetails feel comfortable that these other areas are left alone. And even on a 20, if you can go ahead and do that with 10 acres, give 10 acres to the whitetails, if it's the right 10 acres, it can make a big difference.